There's a story written in the dust and water of our world, a story about a place cradled by two massive rivers, a place where, you could say, history itself was born. But let's be honest, for most of us, that ancient story gets drowned out by headlines of modern conflict. So to really get a handle on a rock, we've got to go back. We've got to follow those rivers all the way to their source. The land between two rivers. Mesopotamia. That's what it means, right? The land between the Tigris and the Euphrates. And this isn't just some geography lesson. No, this is the very heart of the story we're telling today. You know, we hear a lot about ancient Greece and Rome, right? Well, long before any of that, there was this incredible fertile plain. And look, people call it a cradle of civilization. But honestly, you could make a very strong case that it was the cradle. And the timeline here, it's just staggering. I mean, think about it. We're talking about a full-blown civilization taking root as far back as 8,000 years ago. In this place called Sumer, people figured out how to live together in cities, how to build these massive structures, and this is absolutely key, they figured out how to write. For the very first time, they could write down their own stories, and it's no exaggeration to say that in many ways, the world as we know it was invented right here. So many of the things we just take for granted every single day, the real building blocks of our society, they all got their start right here in ancient Iraq. And what happened next was just this explosion of creativity. I mean, check this out. The wheel, invented here. The sailboat, totally changing trade, that was them. Cuneiform, that very first writing system that let them keep complex records and tell epic stories, yup. But it doesn't stop there. Formal mathematics, the whole idea of a 60-second minute and a 60-minute hour, the 360 degrees in a circle, even the first ever written law codes to keep society in order. It was just a flood of innovation that changed everything, forever. So for thousands of years, that innovative spirit it flowed like the rivers themselves. And then you fast forward to the Islamic Golden Age, and that river of ideas becomes a tidal wave. Iraq becomes, without a doubt, the center of the entire world when it comes to knowledge and progress. And this year, 762 AD, is a really pivotal moment. This is when Baghdad was founded. And this wasn't just about building a new capital city. Oh no. This was the dawn of a completely new era. The center of the world, in a way, shifted right back to where it all began, Mesopotamia. Okay, so under what's known as the Abbasid Caliphate, and we're talking a huge empire stretching all the way from North Africa to Central Asia, Baghdad became this incredible magnet for the smartest people on the planet. And they had this legendary place called the House of Wisdom. Now, don't just picture a library. It was so much more. It was this bustling center where all the great works from Greece, Persia, and India were translated, studied, and then, and this is the important part, built upon. And you know what fueled all of this? Incredible wealth. All that fertile land, carefully managed with massive canal systems. It generated a staggering amount of money. And that money is what funded all the culture, all the science, all the achievements that made this era a true golden age. But the river of history isn't always smooth. Sometimes it takes violent, brutal turns. And for Iraq, the 20th and 21st centuries saw its course diverted completely. The collapse of old empires, devastating wars, they reshaped the nation and its place in the world forever. I mean, just look at this timeline. It's a relentless cycle of upheaval. The Ottoman Empire falls, which leads to a British mandate. Then you get a fragile kingdom, which is quickly overthrown in a revolution. After that, decades under the Ba'ath Party, a horrifying 8-year war with Iran, and then, of course, the 2003 invasion and all the chaos that followed. It's an entire century of just profound, violent change. And the human cost of all this, it's just immense. You're talking about millions of individual people, each with a story of loss and displacement. You have refugees forced to flee the country, and millions more uprooted inside their own homeland. And then there's the brain drain. Think about it. A huge chunk of the middle class, the doctors, the engineers, the professors, they left. And that leaves a massive hole that the country is still trying to fill today. But through all of that turmoil, the people are still there. And if you look beyond the headlines, what you find is a nation of just incredible diversity. It's this complex, resilient mosaic of cultures, languages, and religions that have lived together for centuries, right there on the banks of those two rivers. So yeah, the majority of the population is Arab. But to just call Iraq an Arab nation and leave it at that, you'd be missing the whole picture. The Kurdish people, for example, have their own unique language and culture, and they're a huge part of the national identity. And you also have Turkmen, Assyrians, and so many other groups, all with their own deep, deep roots in this land. And that diversity isn't just about ethnicity, it's about language and faith too. Arabic and Kurdish are the official languages, but you'll hear many others spoken. And while most Iraqis are Muslim, the country is also home to some of the world's oldest Christian communities. Not to mention unique faiths you might not even have heard of, like Mandaism and Yazidism. And what's one of the best ways to connect with a culture's heritage? Through its food, of course. And this is pretty incredible. Archaeologists have found recipes etched onto ancient cuneiform tablets. I mean, these are basically the world's very first cookbooks. So a dish like dolma, which people in Iraq still love to eat today, is part of a food tradition that's literally thousands of years old. It's a living and delicious link right back to Mesopotamia. So you've got all these different streams of history, right? The ancient legacy, that incredible golden age, the recent turmoil, and this amazingly rich culture. Where does it all lead? Well, the story of Iraq today is really a story of recovery. It's about ambition and about trying to find a new way forward, a path where the past and the present can finally come together. And we are seeing some real, tangible signs of that recovery. Take the unemployment rate. By 2025, it's expected to drop to around 13%. Now, that's a big improvement from 17% just a few years ago. It's a small number, but it's a huge sign that the economy is starting to stabilize after so many years of crisis. And this is really important. We have to come back to the rivers. After a really crippling drought that lasted a decade, recent rains have helped boost the country's water reserves. You know, for a nation that is literally defined by its rivers, the return of water, well, that's a pretty powerful symbol of renewal, isn't it? And that ambition for the future isn't just talk. It's literally taking concrete form. There's this massive project called the Development Road. The plan is to build this huge network of railways and highways to transform Iraq back into that vital bridge between East and West. By connecting the Persian Gulf all the way to Europe with brand new infrastructure, the goal is for Iraq to become a central hub for global trade, just like it used to be. It all leads to a single, powerful question. Can the very same rivers that nourished the world's first cities now help build its next great crossroad? The story keeps flowing just like the Tigris and the Euphrates. The challenges ahead are, without a doubt, immense, but the legacy of this land is profound, and the journey between two rivers is far from over.